Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans, the very best damn movie-related show on the internet. This is our show that brings you all the daily movie news with insight into what it all means. I'm your host today. My name is John Campia. I'm the senior editor over here at AMC Movie Talk, and joining me is the associate editor of AMC Movie News, Miss Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Hey there, John. It's nice to just have the OG show today, huh?
We are here and we are ready to roll. So let's get diving into it with this. As most of you know, a Fantastic Four reboot is on the way from Fox Studios, with Chronicle director Josh Trank directing. Yesterday, we reported that HBO's Girls star, Allison Williams, was in serious consideration for a role in the film. And today we learned that Chronicle star Michael B. Jordan is in talks to reunite with director Josh Trank for the upcoming Fantastic Four reboot. Jordan is said to be up for the role of Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch, played by Chris Evans in the first two films. Amy Rose, what would you think of Jordan as Johnny Storm?
You know, I liked him in Chronicle. I thought he did a really good job of showing, the playful side of first discovering these powers initially. And then kind of when Dane DeHaan turned all evil. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen Chronicle by now. And then just kind of watching, him trying to keep him on the light side and watching that whole struggle. And I think he showed a lot of depth. I think he's a good actor. I haven't really seen him in much else. And Chris Evans, I love him as Captain America. He really turned me around. As the Human Torch, I mean, it is kind of a comical, more, narcissistic role. That whole movie overall was just kind of cheeseball.
Yes.
So I think that Jordan would be fine. And we've talked about this before as well. I'm fine with them playing with race. I'm totally fine with that. Let's diversify. I'm not, however, as okay with playing with sex, because I think that changes a complete relationship. You can't say our relationship's the same as yours and Dennis's and whoever. It's just, sex changes chemistry and everything, but race does not. Let's diversify. Let's switch it up. I'm all about that, as long as they make it consistent so that, Susan Storm would also be switching it up. So I'm all about that. I'd like to see what other kind of acting chops he has, because he was good in Chronicle. So let's see. Yeah,
I actually, when I look at him in Chronicle, I think, man, this dude actually acts a lot like Johnny Storm. I think he has the characteristic. We already see he brings those types of characteristics, that lightheartedness to it. So on that level, I like it.
Yeah.
But here's where I have a problem. I am very open to changing everything about a character. I'm okay depending on what parts of that character are really truly important. If the race is really true, like for instance, Black Panther. You can't have some European white dude play Black Panther. Being black is a core essential element to who that character is, right?
Yes.
Or whether they have blonde hair or dark hair. And sometimes whether it's a man or a woman. That's my philosophy on it at any rate. The only reason I might have a problem with Jordan in this role is because, as a black dude, it's a pretty core, essential, important part to who Johnny Storm is that he is siblings with Sue Storm.
Well, exactly, which is why she'd have to be black too.
So are they getting a black actress to play Sue Storm? If they are, I'm cool with that. I have no problem. That's great. But if they're not, well, then what are you doing? Are you going to say that maybe Johnny or Sue were adopted?
No,
and bring that
I'm not okay with that.
So I'm sure they have something in mind.
Yeah.
The only reason at this point I feel a little apprehension about it is because the fact that those two are siblings is an important key element to who they are.
Exactly.
And so look, hey Fox, if you've got something in mind that you already know how you're going to explain it and it makes sense to you, great. I can't wait till you tell the rest of us. But for now, I have a little bit of apprehension.
Yeah, and I mean, Allison Williams, they didn't flat out say that she was up for Sue Storm. We all guessed it, but I haven't read anything that's like, this is who she would be. Obviously, there aren't many pivotal characters as the four, or she wouldn't be one of the evil characters. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. But yeah, consistency is key. All right. With Transformers 4 hitting AMC theaters everywhere next summer, the final pieces of the cast puzzle are falling into place. It has just been announced that Kelsey Grammer has joined the cast playing counterintelligence agent Harold Attinger. John, what do you think of Grammer joining Transformers 4?
You can put Kelsey Grammer in just about anything, and I'm going to love it. Look, I was a diehard fan of his, playing the same character on TV for 20 years. He played Dr. Frasier Crane on TV for 20 years. 9 years on Cheers, 11 years in his own show. And look, everybody talks about how, X-Men 3, the weakest of the X-Men. I agree, it is the weakest of the X-Men. But I thought him as Beast, as Dr. Hank McCoy, I thought he was great as Hank McCoy. I love the almost the dignity that he brought to the role. I thought he was great in that role. I love the action parts they did with it. So I'm just overall a Kelsey Grammer fan. Not that everything he's in has been great. But yeah, as far as anything has to do with Transformers 4, Kelsey Grammer joining the cast? Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, same. This is shaping up very interestingly. Like, Stanley Tucci and Mark Wahlberg and Kelsey Grammer. And I mean, Bay is definitely taking good steps to get his cast stacked. I like that he's shooting in IMAX. You know, while I'm kind of like, neutral in Transformers, I think it peaked long before. It's never, as we say many times on the show, it's never a bad thing to add talent to a cast. So yeah, why not?
All right, folks, listen, we've come to that part of the show for buy or sell. Here's how it's going to work. We've got a bunch of other items in the world of movie news. We're going to read them off and tell you simply whether we buy it or sell it. So let's get going with this. Logan Lerman stars such films as Perk of Being a Wallflower, Percy Jackson, and the upcoming Darren Aronofsky film Noah, is in talks to join the cast of David Ayer's upcoming military action thriller Fury. Lerman will play Norman Ellison, a military typist serving under Brad Pitt's Sergeant War Daddy, what a name, and alongside Shia LaBeouf's character. Set at the very end of World War II in April 1945, Fury follows the battle-hardened War Daddy, again, what a name, who commands a Sherman tank and her 5-man crew on a deadly mission behind enemy lines. Outnumbered and outgunned, War Daddy and his men face an overwhelming odds and their heroic attempts to strike at the heart of Nazi Germany. Amy Rose? Buy or sell Lerman joining Fury?
Do you want us to start calling you War Daddy now, John?
I think I may start calling my War Daddy.
I'm going to buy this. I think Lerman is great. Percy, great, but Perks of Being a Wallflower. For those who have not seen that movie, he is so amazing in that, so relatable and vulnerable and strong, and I think he's a really good actor, and I'm interested in Fury. Sounds interesting. On to you, War Daddy.
Fury a little bit sounds to me almost like a sequel to Inglourious Basterds. I can just
I'm
see
all for that.
Playing the same guy just in a tank. War Daddy, what a great name. Yeah, I'm with you. I love Lerman. I buy, by the way. I love Lerman. I think he's a great up-and-coming actor. Even in the films that have been not so wonderful. Like, I liked Percy Jackson and the Olympians, but I didn't love it. But I thought he showed a lot of potential.
Same.
And I'm looking forward to the sequel. I think both of us are. So, yeah, for me, this is definitely a buy.
Cool. Daniel Radcliffe has signed on to play the leading role in a true story adaptation of Jake Adelstein's Tokyo Vice. Radcliffe plays a young Tokyo crime reporter whose reporting puts him on the wrong end of a Yakuza death mark. John, buy or sell Radcliffe in Tokyo Vice?
I'm actually going to sell this for now. We haven't really had the opportunity yet to see if Daniel Radcliffe can break free of the Harry Potter cloak. That's going to be on him, let's face it, for the rest of his life. Can he break through that and break free? Harrison Ford did it. Mark Hamill, not so much. So, I mean, where will he fall? So I'm very curious to see this, but I love the sound of the story. I think I would have liked another actor in there. So for me, for right now, it's a sell.
I'm going to buy it. You know, while The Woman in Black, maybe reviews were a bit mixed, I think it takes a true talent to basically act with these supernatural creatures that are not even really on the screen, that they're being added after, and to really show emotion and fear and all of that. And I think Radcliffe did a really good job. He was pretty much the one-man show of that movie, and I think he showed a lot of depth and a lot of talent. So I am going to buy this, and I'm interested in I love history movies.
All right. The never-ending drama in Natalie Portman's upcoming Western, Jane Got a Gun, just keeps on going. Let's catch you up to date. First of all, you got Natalie Portman playing the heroine. You had Michael Fassbender, Magneto, as the hero, and you had Joel Edgerton as the bad guy. Michael Fassbender then has to leave because he's got X-Men responsibilities, so they move Joel Edgerton to the role of the hero, and they get Jude Law to play the villain. Then, on the first day of shooting, the director decides not to show up, and she ditches on the first day of shooting. Then Jude Law says, hey, wait a minute, I wanted to work with that director, so I'm leaving too. So he leaves. Then they announce that Bradley Cooper is now going to play the villain, the third guy to play the villain so far, and everything is hunky-dory. Okay, now we're going to shoot. Oh, wait, now Bradley Cooper has left. Bradley Cooper, as just announced, has also left the project. No real reason has been given into why. Now, there are reports going that they could now fill in the villain role, who will be the fourth person in like a month to play the role, by either Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Jake Gyllenhaal, Tom Hiddleston, or Tobey Maguire. Amy Rose, with all the drama that has gone on, buy or sell Jane Got a Gun, and is this movie just basically cursed?
Yeah, I really want to love it. I want to say bye, but I am going to sell. I feel like someone must have broken a mirror on set or something because it's just constantly. And Gavin O'Connor, Warrior Helmer, he is such a talented director, and I really want to have faith in this project, but it's just like, you know, the boy can only cry wolf so many times. After a while, I feel like you just got to hang in the hat and call it a day. I'm sorry, Portman. At least they get to work together on Macbeth, Fassbender and Portman.
And Portman, yeah. I got to sell this. This is now look, every movie goes through casting changes and here and there, but this is all high profile, last minute. Like, this film is supposed to be already well into production, and they are like all this kind of nonsense. Yeah, unfortunately for me, like, look, I'm curious as a car wreck to see how this movie turns out.
Can't look away.
And I hope it's going to be awesome, but for now, I got to sell it.
Whew, yeah. Following in the footsteps of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, there is a Pride and Prejudice and Zombies movie on the way, and it looks like we may have our star. It's being reported that Mirror Mirror star Lily Collins has landed the leading role in the zombie film. John, buy or sell Collins joining Pride and Prejudice and Zombies?
I gotta sell this for a couple of reasons. Look, I think Lily Collins has the potential to turn into a very special actress in Hollywood, but I just don't think she's there yet. I think she's got potential. Let's see her in a few years. Also, you know, you said it. I've seen Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Do I want to see Pride and Prejudice and Zombies? Look, I'm already kind of bored of zombie movies right now. I feel like I need an 8-year break from them or something like that. And so, yeah, overall for me right now, it's a sell.
Also a sell. I mean, come on. I love Zombies as much as next, and Pride and Prejudice is a great tale, but I think they're stretching it a little bit here. So I'm not that interested in it. And Abraham Lincoln, can we just talk about that horse scene?
No, let's not talk about anything.
Oh my God, it was
talk about
awful.
About that movie.
I was literally laughing. I was like, is this supposed to be a comedy? I'm not sure. It was so bad.
Well, listen, as we talked about on the show previously, Joss Whedon hinted that 2 new characters who will appear in Avengers 2 are a brother and sister act, leading many to speculate it could be Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. This week, Marvel head Kevin Feige again further clarified who owns the rights to those 2 characters, since they are part of both X-Men, owned by Fox, and the Avengers, owned by Marvel. Feige said the following: "We both have them. There's a specific arrangement with those 2 characters that would allow us to use them with Avengers, but not discuss or reference their mutant or Magneto-related lineage. They can use them as mutants and as Magneto's relatives, but cannot have anything to do with Avengers." Amy Rose: "We still don't know that Whedon was talking about Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, but if he was, buy or sell their involvement in Avengers 2.
Bye. I think they're awesome. And, you know, although the X-Men fanatic in me would have loved if we could have had a little crossover action happening, I can respect that, you know, Fox can use it here, Marvel can use it here, we can all just get along and coexist. And, you know, Iron Man is who recruited them initially into the Avengers and under Captain America's rule. And I think they're such cool, interesting characters. And obviously, to not spoil anything, Captain and Scarlet, and like, there's a lot of fun backstories that they could play out if they want some more female leads. And I think that'd be great. Black Widow really held her own, Scarlett Johansson. And I think more strong females up in there will be awesome, and they're great.
I gotta sell this for the main reason, not that because I don't like the characters, I do, but for the reason that we talked about when we were talking about Jordan possibly joining Fantastic Four. I'm a big believer in keeping the core essential elements to who those characters are intact. If you're gonna have Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, to me, the single 2 most important things about those 2 characters: number 1, they're mutants. Well, if they're in Avengers, we can't even mention that. Okay. Number 2, they're Magneto's kids.
I know.
And if they're in Avengers, we can't even mention that. Why not just have, you know, Pretty Girl and Fast Guy? Just call them Pretty Girl and Fast Guy, because it's not, if they're not mutant and they're not Magneto's descendants, they're not Magneto's kids, to me they're not Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
I know.
So while I love those characters, I'm with you on that. And trust me, I'm going to be excited to see them in the movie if they are.
They'll be great.
But
you're not going to boycott it?
No. There is no point in having those 2 if they're not Magneto's kids and they're not mutants. So
but who do you want to see, though, if it's not, you know, those siblings?
I would love to see Aurora Northstar.
Yeah.
That's me personally.
Yeah.
But that's how it goes. Hey, listen, folks, listen. Before we get to mailbag, we got a couple things we want to do. First of all, at CinemaCon recently, Fox showed a great set of footage, like this 1-minute thing of the upcoming Wolverine, that some of the material, a lot of the material in it has been in some trailers that we've seen already, but there are a few really neat little treats in it that nobody has seen before, including what we believe to be our first look at Silver Samurai. We're not sure yet. But we want to take a second because AMC actually got the exclusive clip of that. We want to show it to you right now. So let's take a second. Look at this clip from Wolverine. Don't forget, folks, Wolverine opens in AMC theaters everywhere on July 26th. Now, the other day, we did a little contest. Now, I mentioned I got these 3D glasses here that I was at the world premiere, the red carpet premiere in Hollywood for Iron Man 3. And these are the actual 3D glasses used at the red carpet premiere where all the cast was there and everything. These are actually the ones that I wore personally. And we said to you guys, hey, if you want one of these sets of glasses, email us a picture of you holding up some kind of sign that says AMC Movie Talk on it. Make it as simple or as crazy as you want, have just you or other people in it, whatever. Now, we're going to announce the winners tomorrow, but I loved a lot of these pictures that you guys sent in, so we want to take a second and show off some of the pictures, the material that you guys sent us. So let's take a look. Thanks a lot for sending in all these pictures, guys. We are going to pick 2 winners, and we'll announce the winners on the show tomorrow. Well, listen, it's time for Mailbag. Listen, if you have a topic or a question that you would like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Every single day, we pick out a couple of questions out of the mailbag, and we address them on the show. So let's jump into it. Edgar M. writes, so I was wondering, what are your thoughts on the tone of the superhero films? I always thought that DC had the advantage to fully express their characters on screen because they did not have a shared universe. So, the tone and content could be dramatically different and free from restrictions of attempts to merge universes. For example, The Dark Knight had a very gritty and realistic tone, whereas Superman Returns strives for a very classic and fantastical tone with very different color schemes and all that. With the Marvel Universe, since everyone will eventually share the same screen, the movies will have to have somewhat connected or similar in tone in that sense. I feel that the restrictions would deduct from the character and content of the independent DC superhero movies. Amy Rose, what do you think about that? The whole idea that not having shared universes for DC actually gives their characters the advantage.
First of all, very interesting question. Thank you for submitting. I don't really know if I see it that way, personally. First of all, The Dark Knight was very, very dark and gritty. And while they didn't show a shared universe, I don't really think that's, I mean, Justice League, for example. That is an example where we want to see all these DC characters together to hopefully do what Marvel is doing. And I really don't know if it takes certain liberties or not. From what we've seen with Marvel, I think that, you know, the way they're sharing the universe has really worked out well for them. But the tone of superhero films, I think, has just generally evolved to be a little darker and grittier. And I personally really like that.
You know, this is a great question, and I've thought about this myself. And you know what? I think you're right. I think the one thing, an advantage that the DC films have right now by not having a Justice League universe right now is that they do afford each of their superhero films to inhabit their own universe and to define that universe on their own. And, you know, The Dark Knight Rises and The Dark Knight, that's a great example of that. Christopher Nolan didn't have to worry about, well, what does this world really look like? Because we've already seen it in Superman and Green Lantern. No. He was able to just create his own world and not worry about any of that. He doesn't have to worry about, well, would Batman do this if he knows he's got to talk to Clark about it later? You know, he doesn't have to worry about that sort of thing. And, you know, this came up really recently because somebody wrote to me a couple of times, actually, about, you know, why are you so excited? A commenter wrote to me. He said, why are you so excited about the Fantastic Four movie? I want this movie to bust so that the rights will go back to Marvel. Don't you want it to go back to Marvel? And you know what? At first I thought, well, sure. But then I thought, wait a minute. No, I don't. I don't want the Fantastic Four to go back to Marvel. Not because I don't think Marvel wouldn't do a good job with them. But it's simply this. That universe is getting really crowded. It's getting really crowded. I mean, we've already got all the Avengers. You got the Hulk in there. You got Thor. You got Captain America. You got Iron Man. You got War Machine. We know we've got Ant-Man coming up. We know we've got, you know, the wizard dude. What's the wizard dude's name? I'm going to keep forgetting. The Sorcerer Supreme.
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. How can I remember Sorcerer Supreme and not remember Doctor Strange? I have no idea. But we got Black Panther coming, and we've got all these characters. We got the Guardians of the Galaxy coming. Now, you know, there was a big hubbub going on about, well, wait a minute. How did all that stuff happen in Avengers with the aliens invading? Where was War Machine? Why wasn't War Machine there? He should have been a part. Well, pretty soon now, in any of these superhero movies, we got like 30 or 40 superheroes in the same shared universe, which makes the fantastical all not that much fantastic anymore because there's so many heroes. But we're going to ask the question every time. Like when Fantastic Four, if they were in the Marvel universe, okay, Galactus is coming. Well, are you telling me if Galactus was really coming, that every superhero on the planet wouldn't have all come together? Where was Iron Man? Where was Hulk? Why weren't they all there? I mean, we're going to ask that question in every single solitary movie. And to me, yeah, the Marvel universe is getting a little bit crowded. And I kind of like the idea of them just staying with Fox and having their own universe. Maybe they're going to, we've talked about it before, maybe X-Men and Fantastic Four are going to start sharing a universe.
Oh, I hope so.
But at least then it's still kind of limited. So I think it's a great question, the advantages that Nolan has had, and it is going to be a different challenge for whoever's going to do Dark Knight next, or the next Batman, because they're going to have those restrictions that Nolan didn't have.
True.
Dennis, what about you? Like, would you rather see a Fantastic Four like their own kind of isolated world, or are you on the boat that you kind of like the idea that they're part of a much larger universe with something like Marvel?
I like if Fox decides that they're gonna like make their own kind of Marvel universe, I think that's kind of cool. I mean, you are right that it's gonna get too crowded if Marvel has everything. But if Fox decides to connect Fantastic Four and X-Men and then whatever other properties they own, then that will be kind of cool. For the question, I think it is an interesting question because I think from the director's standpoint, it is better to have your own individual movie and have your own tone and try and create the best possible story you can. But from like a financial perspective, you want to link all these things together because it's almost like promotion for your other movies.
Yeah. And what about from the fans' perspective? I mean, while it might be easier for DC, as is like, say, a trilogy, introducing a trilogy, the third installment has more pressure than the first because they're introducing a lot of things. But for the fan, do we love seeing all these superheroes like from Marvel in this universe? It's pretty exciting. So for the filmmakers, maybe it's a little easier from the DC perspective because let's be real, they're still figuring it out over there.
Yeah, they are.
But from the fans' perspective, I'm not going to complain and say I didn't love seeing all my favorite Avengers on the screen.
All right, let's get to the next question here. Alina writes, love the show, been watching since day one. Well, thank you very much, Alina. My question / topic is regarding midnight premieres. I love seeing movies at midnight because you watch the movies with the people who care about it as much as you do and end up having more fun at the theater. Now that movie theaters have shows before midnight, like at 10 p.m. or 9 p.m., do you think that this element of fandom at midnight premieres is disappearing? And what showtime does the avid fan go to for movies such as the upcoming Iron Man 3, 9 p.m. or midnight? Thanks.
Well, I'll take this one, Alina. Thanks for the question. I personally love that they started doing 9 p.m. screenings. Say for Lord of the Rings, for example, we saw the midnight showing.
Yes,
I didn't get out till 3 in the morning and had to go to work the next day. So to me, 9 o'clock is better. Not only did I still get to experience it with the diehard fans first showing, really showing our love and dedication for the film, but I also got home at a little more reasonable of an hour. So I just think that movie theaters, yay AMC, and studios are wising up, giving people more options, more abilities to see the film, and I don't think seeing the 9 versus the midnight shows that you're not a diehard because you're still seeing it firsthand and showing your love and devotion. So I'm all for it. I like the earlier time.
Yeah, to me, it's not really about whether you see the midnight screening. It's about whether you see the first screening.
Exactly.
That's the main thing to the movie fan, is we want to be at the first showing. So here at the AMC Burbank 16, where we record this show, there's a 9 p.m. of Iron Man 3 tonight, and there's actually, it's about 11 o'clock in the morning right now. There's already, behind this curtain, there's already a lineup of people. I kid you not. But that being said, I kind of agree with you in the sentimentality part. There is something about the first screening being at midnight because you know that it's not the casual fan who's going to go to a midnight screening of a movie that's opening. It's somebody who cares pretty much about that movie. And there is a higher, I remember the first time I saw the first Transformers movie at a midnight screening with an audience of people who had been waiting in line for 5 hours to get in and get good seats.
Damn.
It was the midnight showing. The next day was a work day. And you knew that everybody in there was super excited to see Transformers. And it was a concert environment. It was a rock and roll concert environment. It's great. And you don't get that all the time at the movie theater. So there is something very special about that. But I got to agree with Amy Rose. It's not really, whether it's midnight or 9 p.m., it's about being at the first show. If you're a fan, you do lose a little bit of the specialness. I agree. But overall, I like the fact that they have 9 p.m.s.
I don't think the excitement or the experience diminishes. You just might get a little more sleep for the next day. Just saying.
All right. Brian Young writes, been watching you for a few months and catching your show daily is the best part of my day after a long day of work. Wanted to know if you guys have heard any word on Bad Boys 3. It's my personal all-time favorite buddy cop film, and I'm anxiously awaiting the third film. I know Michael Bay is tied up for a while with Transformers 4. If all the parties involved are willing, Will, Martin, and Bay, I think they can put together a fun, over-the-top action film. I just want my Bad Boys trilogy. Thanks, guys, and keep up the good work. Amy Rose, what do you think?
I would love to see it as well, but I personally have not heard news on it. I mean, maybe a couple years ago, because people love this. And Will, I mean, he's just such a charismatic. And with Martin, I really do agree that it's one of my favorite buddy cop movies. But yeah, as you said, he's tied up with Transformers and maybe other passion projects like Pain and Gain. So I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon. But boy, I would be really happy to see that because that's the Michael Bay I actually liked. The Rock, Bad Boys, that's the Michael Bay I liked. I'd like to see him go back to that.
Yeah, and Will is very busy, Bay is very busy, and Martin Lawrence has a garden he's tending to right now. I don't really know what Martin Lawrence is doing right now. But it's funny, I actually talked to the producer of Bad Boys a few weeks ago, Bruckheimer, and he said, look, basically, talk to Sony. He said, talk to Sony. So I think like Bruckheimer would like to do it. I think everybody would like to do it. I do question how successful it could be now. I don't know if, we're looking at a $70 million opening weekend for it. It'd probably be smaller. But on the other hand, except for Will Smith's paycheck, this probably wouldn't be a super expensive movie to make. So it would be interesting. So I think the parties involved would like to do it right now. It's all sitting on Sony's shoulders right now to get it moving. Steve D writes, hi there, I really enjoy this show and wonder if you can tell me, please, is there any news you can tell me about what also every sci-fi lover also wants asking, are we going to see? Let me try that all again. Steve D, I'm trying to follow you here. Hi there, I'm really hoping, don't edit this, Dennis, I want this all in here. Hi there, I really enjoy the show, and I wonder if you can please, is there any news you can tell me about what also every sci-fi lover also wants, asking, are we going to see the awesome Silver Surfer anytime soon? The only reason that we went to see the Fantastic Four sequel in the first place.
You did a great job, John.
Thank you very much. I put my nose down and plowed through that one. Hey, listen, I think no. Look, I don't know what the plans are that Trank has for the first Fantastic Four reboot, but I don't think you start with Silver Surfer. I think you bring Silver Surfer in. That's maybe one of the only things the original two Fantastic Four films did right, is waited to bring him in.
They did something right?
Yeah. Yeah, they did a couple of things right. But one of the things they did right was waiting to bring Silver Surfer in. I don't think you start things off with Silver Surfer. He's one of the things that you keep in your pocket. And so I believe maybe in a sequel. So anytime soon? No, I don't think we're going to see Silver Surfer anytime soon, but relatively soon? I think so. I think maybe by part 2, if they get to a Fantastic Four part 2. I mean, Rose, what do you think?
Yep. I'm really excited for this. I think Josh Trank is going to do it justice. And yeah, same thing. Kind of the same concept with Thanos in Avengers. They're probably not going to bring him till at least the end or maybe the third, you know. I think that we'll see him maybe in the second film. I mean, first of all, Fox is all about playing it safe, as is Warner Brothers these days, with their superhero films. First Class was very successful, so now they're going to go on with Days, and I think the same thing is going to be with Fantastic Four. If it's a really big success, they're going to maybe introduce us to, you know, the main kids and see how it goes from there, and then continue in that universe if it's successful, and hopefully it will be. But you got to save your party tricks for the end.
All right, folks, listen, that'll do it for us. We've run out of time. But listen, while I've got you, before you do anything else, take a second and click that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news and, of course, our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. And listen, go on out and see a movie tonight, like Iron Man 3 at 9 p.m. or midnight. You can go to www.amctheaters.com to get your theater, showtime, and, of course, movie tickets. If you'd like an audio-only version of the show to listen to on the treadmill or on your way to work, look in the description of this video and you'll see links to iTunes and our Stitcher radio feeds. And once again, click that subscribe button. I want to thank, as always, our associate editor here at AMC Movie News, Miss Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Thank you so much.
Hey, we had a chance to see our production manager over there, Mr. Dennis Zen.
Woo, Dennis!
Who's always running the show.
Hello. Goodbye.
And thank you most of all to you guys. Listen, the most important part of the show is not what we have to say, it's what you have to say. Make sure you jump down to the comment section of this video and leave your thoughts on any or all of the topics we discussed here today. So until tomorrow, my name is John Campia for AMC Movie News. Bye-bye.